Can we truly control the mind simply by changing the way we breathe? This question, seemingly simple, holds the key to unlocking an ancient wisdom that has been overlooked in our hyperstimulated modern world. We live in an age of overwhelm. Our calendars are packed, our inboxes are overflowing, and our minds race with an endless torrent of notifications, anxieties, and future casting. We search for anchors in the chaos, in productivity hacks, in quick fixes, in endless consumption. Yet the most powerful tool for inner peace, for mental clarity, and for true Stoic resilience has been with us since the moment we were born: our breath. Think about the last time you felt truly overwhelmed. Perhaps your heart was pounding, your thoughts were spinning out of control, and a knot formed in your stomach. Now, think about the last time you felt profoundly calm. A deep exhale, a moment of silence, a settling of the shoulders. What was the only physiological mechanism that changed between those two states? The rhythm and depth of your breath. The Stoics understood that the external world is largely beyond our control, but they taught us to focus our power on the one thing that is absolutely always within our grasp: our inner response, our judgments, our mental faculties. But what if the greatest point of control isn't just a mental exercise? What if it begins with the body? What if the most direct path to controlling our mental state, to achieving apatheia, tranquility, and acting with virtue runs right through the autonomic yet ultimately governable function of our breathing? This lecture, this long-form exploration, is about building a bridge between the profound philosophical wisdom of Stoicism and the undeniable, quantifiable science of breathwork. It is about taking the great Stoic maxim, "Focus on what you can control," and rooting it not just in abstract thought, but in the physical reality of every single inhale and exhale. The breath is the ultimate proherasis, the ultimate choice, the ultimate preferred indifferent that we can choose to govern. For the next several hours, we will journey through the historical foundations of Stoicism, delve into the modern neuroscience of the vagus nerve, and equip you with practical techniques, the very spiritual exercises that allow you to use your breath as a lever to manage stress, silence the inner critic, and cultivate the tranquility that Marcus Aurelius sought in his meditations. We're not just going to talk about philosophy, we're going to put it into practice, starting right now. Take a deep, slow, intentional breath. Feel that moment of command. That is where your wisdom begins. The enduring power of Stoicism lies in its absolute focus on inner sovereignty. The core teachings, which have resonated through 2 millennia, center on distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot control. The external world, the opinions of others, the whims of fortune, our health, our wealth, are ultimately indifferent, or adiaphora. Our true power, our logos, resides in our faculty of judgment and our ability to choose our response to these external events. This is the dichotomy of control, the philosophical bedrock that serves as the foundation for our entire discussion. For the Stoics, the ultimate good is virtue, living in accordance with nature, which they understood as living rationally. The 4 cardinal virtues are wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. But how does a frantic, anxiety-ridden mind embody wisdom or courage? It cannot. The agitated mind is a mind out of alignment with nature. This is where the connection to the body, and specifically the breath, becomes so crucial. While the ancient texts don't detail a formal structured breathwork practice like modern yoga or Wim Hof, the emphasis on self-awareness, presence, and tranquility, or apatheia, implicitly points to the need for a settled body and mind. Consider the words of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, from his Meditations. He frequently urged himself to retreat to the inner citadel, the command center of the self. He wrote, "Withdraw into yourself. The rational soul is naturally content with itself when it acts justly, and thus achieves tranquility. This withdrawal, this moment of intentional self-possession, requires a stilling of the body's reaction to external stimuli. An uncontrolled physiological response, rapid heartbeat, shallow, quick breathing, is a direct impedance to rational judgment. To act justly and achieve tranquility, the body must be brought into submission to the logos. The practice of mindful breathing becomes the physical gateway to this philosophical retreat. Seneca, the statesman and playwright, repeatedly warned against the perils of anger and passion. He saw them as temporary madness, states that seize and overthrow reason. In his treatise on anger, he might as well have been describing the physiological state that shallow panic breathing produces, a hyper-alertness that prepares the body for fight or flight but utterly incapacitates it for calm deliberation. To conquer anger, Seneca advocated for taking a moment, for delay. That moment of delay, that space between the stimulus and the response, is precisely where an intentional breath practice takes root. The conscious inhale and extended exhale physically interrupt the neurological feedback loop of panic, restoring the faculty of reason. Epictetus, the former slave who became a profound teacher, grounded his philosophy in self-mastery. He told us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The reaction begins not just in the mind, but in the body's primal response to a perceived threat. A sharp, involuntary gasp is the body reacting. A slow, deep, intentional breath is the choice, the prohairesis of the rational mind asserting control over the involuntary biological impulse. The Stoic practices of premeditation of evils, premeditation malorum, are mental exercises designed to prevent the shock and panic that can derail reason. But to truly engage in these exercises, the body must be prepared. It must be tranquil. And the most ancient, reliable method of inducing tranquility is through the conscious command of the breath. Thus, the breath is not just a secondary tool, it is the fundamental physical spiritual exercise that makes all other Stoic practices possible. It is the steadying force that allows the logos to reign supreme.
Modern science has finally caught up to the inherent wisdom embedded in ancient practices like Stoicism and mindful breathing, providing a quantifiable explanation for why controlling our breath can profoundly control our minds. The key lies in the autonomic nervous system, ANS, the control center for all automatic functions in the body, which is split into two complementary branches, the sympathetic nervous system, SNS, and the parasympathetic nervous system, PNS. The sympathetic nervous system is the accelerator. It's the fight or flight response. When activated, it releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, increases heart rate and blood pressure, and, critically, triggers short, shallow, chest-level breathing. This state is excellent for escaping a bear, but disastrous for making a rational, stoic decision about a difficult email or a financial setback. It is the physiological antithesis of apatheia. The parasympathetic nervous system is the brake. It's the rest and digest state, and it is the physiological mechanism for achieving stoic tranquility. When activated, it lowers the heart rate, decreases blood pressure, conserves energy, and promotes a state of calm. The most direct, non-pharmacological, and immediate way to switch the balance from the SNS to the PNS is through intentional, slow, diaphragmatic breath work. The literal switch that connects the mind and body is the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve, running from the brainstem to the abdomen, and it is the main component of the PNS. It plays a crucial role in the mind-body connection. The scientific principle here is simple. While the vagus nerve is largely responsible for involuntary functions, it can be stimulated voluntarily by controlling the breath. Extended exhales are particularly effective at stimulating the vagus nerve. The moment you intentionally slow your breathing, especially lengthening the exhale, you send a direct signal to your brain via the vagus nerve. The threat is over. You are safe. You can relax. This is known as vagal braking, and it actively and instantly modulates the stress response. The Stoic pursuit of temperance and self-control finds its scientific counterpart here. By mastering the breath, a seemingly involuntary function, we gain a direct, physical control over the chemical cascade of stress. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic principle that our inner world is the only true domain of our power. We cannot stop external events from happening, but we can, in a matter of seconds, change our internal chemistry, our physiological judgment, by choosing to breathe deeply. This is cognitive restructuring achieved through a somatic or body practice. The ancient philosophers sought to govern their passions. Modern neuroscience confirms that the most powerful governor of passion is the command we exert over our own respiratory rhythm, utilizing the vagus nerve as the ultimate tool of philosophical self-mastery. The breath is not just air, it is a remote control for the nervous system and therefore a direct pathway to Stoic wisdom. The integration of Stoic philosophy with breathwork elevates a simple physiological exercise into a profound spiritual practice. The most important application is rooted in the dichotomy of control, which separates all things into what is up to us and what is not up to us. What is more immediate, more always present, and more within our capacity to change than the act of our own breathing? In the vast sea of things beyond our control, the global economy, the behavior of others, the past, our breath stands as an undeniable, available, and always ready lever of self-control. It is the ultimate prohairesis in physical form. When a stressful event occurs, and external indifferent, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in and our breathing becomes shallow and erratic. This is an involuntary reaction, a biological habit, not a conscious choice. The Stoic response is to intercede, to apply the logos and assert control. By choosing to take a slow, deep, diaphragmatic breath, we are physically enacting the dichotomy of control. We are saying, I cannot control the email, the traffic, or the insult, but I can control this inhale and this exhale. This single act is the ultimate Stoic affirmation of inner freedom. This leads directly to the mind-body connection in Stoicism. The Stoics were physicalists. They believed that everything, including the soul or Pneuma, a concept often translated as breath or spirit, was material, albeit a subtle and refined form. The body and mind were not separate entities, but different manifestations of the same essential life force. Therefore, a disturbance in the body, a frantic, panicked breath, is a disturbance in the mind, leading to faulty judgment and non-virtuous action. To cultivate virtue, wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage, we must first cultivate calmness. The breath is the direct conduit for this. Temperance or self-mastery is physically embodied by the deliberate slowing of the breath and the heart rate, a conscious denial of the body's urge to panic. Courage is the ability to act rightly in the face of fear, and the first step to conquering fear is to breathe through the initial physiological panic that fear induces. The breath, when governed, becomes an instrument of arete, or virtue, because it facilitates rational judgment. When the nervous system is settled through slow, deep breathing, the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for logical thought, decision-making, and long-term planning, is favored over the amygdala, the center for emotional and fear responses. The conscious breath allows us to engage our logos fully. When we practice Stoic breathwork, we are turning a biological function into a spiritual exercise. Each intentional breath serves as an anchor to the present moment, interrupting the two great sources of mental pain, the regret of the past and the anxiety of the future. By returning to the physical reality of the breath, we enact the Stoic commitment to living according to nature and fully inhabiting the only time that is truly ours, the present. In a single breath, we embrace control, embody tranquility, and cultivate the very virtues that define a well-lived, philosophical life.
The power of Stoic philosophy is meaningless without practical application. The ancient Stoics relied on spiritual exercises to train their minds. And now, we will adopt the most powerful physical exercise, breathwork, to supercharge this training. These techniques are your physical hyponemata, notes or reminders to return to your inner citadel. Morning breathing rituals setting the day's tone. A Stoic's day begins with premeditation.
Before the onslaught of external events, we prepare the mind. We can now add a physical dimension to this. The Stoic Anchor Breath, 10 minutes. Immediately upon waking, before checking your phone, sit upright. The goal is to set the day's nervous system baseline to parasympathetic. Phase 1, observation. Spend 2 minutes simply observing your breath, noticing its natural rhythm without changing it. Phase 2, lengthening. Begin to intentionally slow the breath. Inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6. The extended exhale stimulates the vagus nerve. Phase 3, the affirmation. On each inhale, mentally say, "I control my judgments." On each exhale, mentally say, "I release what is not mine to control." This fuses the philosophical principle directly into the body's state of feeling. Techniques for crisis and control. These methods are for immediate deployment when you feel anger, anxiety, or panic rising, the moment your judgment is most at risk. 1. Box breathing, the Stoic square. This technique is used by Navy SEALs, a perfect example of modern Stoic application for maintaining rational control under immense pressure. It creates a box of stability when the mind is frantic. Inhale slowly through the nose for a count of 4. Mental focus, taking in calmness. Hold the air gently for a count of 4. Mental focus, judgment, the pause before reaction. Exhale slowly through the nose for a count of 4. Mental focus, releasing tension and passion. Hold the air out for a count of 4. Mental focus, tranquility, the empty, peaceful state. Repeat for 5 to 10 cycles. This conscious mechanical focus on a simple count overpowers the complex, panicked thoughts of the SNS. 2. Diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing. This is the foundation of calm breathing. Shallow chest breathing, common under stress, keeps the SNS in charge. Diaphragmatic breathing is impossible to do while panicked. Lie down or sit up straight. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly, just below your ribs. Inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, ensuring the hand on your belly rises while the hand on your chest remains still. You are filling the bottom of your lungs. Exhale slowly through your nose or pursed lips, flattening your belly and gently pushing the air out. The goal is to retrain the body's natural resting breath to be deep and slow, signaling safety to the brain, aligning the body with the Stoic ideal of temperance. Combining practice, journaling, plus breathwork. The Stoics relied on writing in their hyponemata to review their actions and prepare for the day. Combine this mental exercise with physical grounding. Preparation. Practice box breathing for 5 cycles to settle the mind and achieve a state of apatheia. Review. Evening. Write about a moment where you lost control. Then, instead of just analyzing the mental failure, analyze the physiological failure. When my colleague criticized me, my breath hitched and my hands clenched. I failed to apply the brake. Premeditation. Morning. Write about an anticipated challenge. Then write out your breathing plan for that event. If the presentation is stressful, I will pause, inhale for 4, and exhale for 6 before I respond to questions. This creates a tangible, physical, spiritual exercise for the next encounter. Guided Stoic meditation. The highest use of breathwork is to create the stillness required for pure philosophical contemplation. Sit comfortably and commit to 15 minutes of slow, deep, controlled breathing. As your mind settles, transition your focus to a core Stoic principle. Inhale, I accept what I cannot change. Exhale, I commit to acting virtuously in this moment. Repeat this mantra in the breath until the concept moves from an abstract idea to a felt physical reality of tranquility and resolve. The breath is the steady drumbeat for the inner citadel. The philosophical principles and the scientific techniques we have discussed find their most urgent application in our current age of digital overwhelm and hyper-connected life. Never before have humans been subjected to such a continuous, low-level stream of anxiety-inducing stimuli. Notifications, social media validation cycles, 24/7 news. This constant stimulation is a chronic stressor that keeps the sympathetic nervous system permanently engaged, trapping millions in a state of low-grade anxiety and preventing true Stoic reflection. The digital overwhelm. The modern phone is a chaos machine, a perpetual external indifferent that constantly attempts to pull us away from the one thing we can control: our focus. The urge to check the phone, the sudden spike of adrenaline when a client emails at 11 p.m. These are not existential threats, but the body reacts as if they were, triggering shallow, erratic breathing and a cortisol release. Stoic breathwork solution. The moment you feel the compulsive urge to grab your phone or the anxiety spike from a notification, pause and perform 3 cycles of box breathing. This simple act of 3 controlled breaths physically interrupts the impulse. It creates the space between stimulus and response that Epictetus mandated. The breath is the physical boundary you place between your rational mind and the digital chaos, allowing you to choose whether or not to engage, thereby enacting the dichotomy of control over your attention. Case study: the anxious student. Scenario: a university student, Sarah, is facing a crushing workload and a major upcoming exam. She experiences constant imposter syndrome and shallow, rapid breathing, leading to spiraling thoughts that prevent her from studying effectively. Her mind is dominated by premeditation of evils that are purely catastrophic and non-rational. Intervention: breathwork plus Stoicism. Sarah was taught the diaphragmatic breathing technique and instructed to treat her exam anxiety as an external indifferent she could not control, and her physical reaction as the only thing she could. Practice. Before every study session, she spends 5 minutes doing diaphragmatic breathing to signal safety to her nervous system. Result: by grounding her body first, she was able to engage her logos more effectively. The reduction in physical anxiety allowed her to apply the Stoic principle of focused effort on the task at hand, rather than wasted energy on the outcome. Her grades improved not just because she studied more, but because she studied with a tranquil, rational mind. Case study: the corporate professional and anger. Scenario: a young professional, David, constantly struggles with bursts of anger and frustration in high-stakes meetings when his ideas are challenged. His breath shortens dramatically, his voice raises, and he fails the Stoic virtue of justice by acting irrationally and aggressively. Intervention: breathwork plus Seneca's delay. David was taught to recognize the physical signs of rising anger: clenched jaw, rapid, shallow breath, and immediately use the extended exhale. Inhale 3, exhale 6. Practice. The moment the physical sensation of anger begins, he mentally uses the extended exhale to physically force the vagus nerve to activate the PNS, providing a neurological break. He reported that the forced, slow exhale acts as Seneca's mandated moment of delay, physically interrupting the anger cascade. He is now able to choose a response, a calm, rational defense of his idea, rather than simply reacting. The breath is his physical mechanism for achieving temperance and acting with wisdom. The breath is the immediate, always available technology for Stoic living in the 21st century. It is the simple yet profound tool that puts the abstract philosophy of control into the physical command of your body, allowing you to truly thrive in our high-pressure, hyper-stimulated world.
The true measure of a philosophy is its capacity to be integrated seamlessly into the messy reality of daily life. For the Stoic, life is the practice, and the same must be true for Stoic breathwork. It cannot be a retreat or a separate discipline. It must become a non-negotiable component of our self-care and resilience toolkit, a subtle, constant adjustment of the inner rudder. For students, mastering focus and test anxiety. Students today face pressure that can easily lead to burnout. The mind is often fragmented, bouncing between assignments and social concerns. The breath offers a singular point of focus. The 30-second reset. Before starting a new study block, e.g. before opening a textbook chapter or a difficult problem set, perform 3 deliberate cycles of box breathing. This is a mini ritual that anchors the mind to the present task, shutting down the SNS activation caused by procrastination or fear of failure. It is the physical act of saying, all that matters is this next 60 minutes of focused effort. During exams, if panic sets in, the heart pounds, the mind blanks, this is not a cognitive failure, it is a neurological one. Stop writing, place both feet flat on the floor, take 5 deep, slow, diaphragmatic breaths with an emphasis on the exhale. By calming the body, you allow the cognitive memory to return. Temperance leads to better wisdom, recall. For professionals navigating high-stress environments, the workplace is a constant testing ground for Stoic virtue, conflict, deadlines, competition. These are all external indifferents that threaten our logos. The meeting power inhale. Before walking into a difficult meeting or immediately before presenting, pause at the door. Take a full, deep inhale, hold it for a brief count, 2 to 3, and then release it with a slow, silent exhale. This is your personal premeditation of evils, a quick physical grounding that prevents the initial adrenaline surge from overwhelming your judgment. Email decompression. Never respond to a challenging email immediately. Before typing a single word, practice extended exhale breathing, inhale 4, exhale 8, for 3 cycles. The extended slow exhale guarantees you will respond with wisdom and justice rather than reactive anger or fear. The breath creates the philosophical distance required for objective assessment. For creators and entrepreneurs, sustaining resilience. The creative life is defined by uncertainty, rejection, and the need for sustained effort. Resilience is not an abstract concept. It is the physical ability to recover from a setback without spiraling into despair. The resilience breath. When facing a setback, a rejected pitch, a failed product launch, the natural tendency is a shallow, defeated breath. Counter this by immediately engaging in Wim Hof-style breathwork, a sequence of rapid, deep inhales followed by a long retention. While this is a more activating technique, it is designed to physically push through perceived limits and restore a sense of courage and physiological vibrancy. It's a physical affirmation of, I am not broken, my body is strong, and my will is strong. This allows the individual to return to the core Stoic message. External failure is not a personal failure. Only a failure of judgment is. The conscious breath is the ultimate form of self-care because it is the care of your Pneuma, your spirit, and your logos. It is a declaration that you will not be a passive passenger to your own nervous system, but the active, rational driver of your entire inner world. Make it a micro-practice, a spiritual exercise deployed hundreds of times a day until control of the breath becomes synonymous with control of the mind. We have journeyed from the sun-drenched porticos of ancient Athens to the sophisticated labs of modern neuroscience. We have explored the philosophical bedrock of Stoicism and the undeniable physical mechanism of the vagus nerve. And in all that distance, the core, unifying message remains breathtakingly simple and profoundly powerful. Control the breath, and you control the mind.
The Stoics taught us that the only true path to a good life, a life of virtue and tranquility, is through the relentless, disciplined focus on the things that are up to us. In the final analysis, your ability to inhale deeply, to pause, and to exhale slowly is the most immediate, reliable, and powerful item on your list of things that are up to you. The breath is not just air. It is pneuma. It is the vital spirit that the Stoics believe connected everything. And when you choose to govern it, when you deliberately slow that inhale to a count of 4 and extend that exhale to a count of 6, you are not just relaxing your nervous system, you are engaging in an act of profound philosophical assertion. You are declaring your inner sovereignty. You are activating your logos. You are choosing temperance over passion, wisdom over anxiety, and courage over fear. We live in a world designed to steal your tranquility, to accelerate your heart rate, and to keep you perpetually shallow breathing and panicked. The greatest act of philosophical rebellion you can commit is to slow down, to breathe deep, and to assert control over your own nervous system. Do not let your body's primal reactions rule your rational mind. Use the breath as your physical lever to unlock the inner citadel. This is your call to action. Do not let this knowledge simply remain an intellectual curiosity. Start now. Right where you are, pause this video, sit up straight, and commit to 3 cycles of box breathing. Feel the shift. That is the philosophy in action. The 30-second breathwork challenge. For the next 30 days, make a non-negotiable commitment. Perform 5 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing immediately upon waking and implement 1 cycle of box breathing before you respond to any stressful stimulus, a text, an email, a difficult conversation. Join the community. Share your experience in the comments below. How has controlling your breath helped you to control your judgments? Which Stoic principle has come alive through your practice of extended exhale? The path to Stoic wisdom is a marathon, not a sprint, but every single step begins with a single, conscious breath. The air that gives you life is also the tool that gives you mastery. Start breathing like a philosopher today. Thank you for embarking on this deep dive into the wisdom of the body and the mind. Until the next lesson, may your breathing be slow and your judgment be sound.